Okay, this is going to be a little bit of a different format of video. So recently we were in the process of finding an apartment for rent in Indiana. And thank God we found a beautiful apartment and people who would rent it out to us because, oh boy, it's quite a process for anyone, but especially for immigrants. In this video, we'll talk about what you need to do, what documentation you need to have to be able to rent a place in the US, what all the different fees are you might need to pay, and what the cost of monthly rent will depend on. With that being said, I'm not a realtor, I'm just sharing what I know, so if you guys know more, please share with us in the comments because I'm sure that this information will be helpful for people. And if you have any stories related to renting, please feel free to share them with us in the comments also. First and foremost, when choosing the area you'd like to live in, you want to consider the safety of the area, the convenience, and the ratings of schools in the area. And the better the area, the more expensive rent will be there. So basically, the price of rent not only varies from state to state, but it also depends on a lot of other factors, including community. There are communities with luxury houses, ones with fancier houses, and ones with simple, normal houses. Okay, to be able to rent a place in the US, you need to meet the criteria. First, almost every renter or renting company will need proof of income. I'm saying almost, and keep in mind that all of these things and requirements change from company to company. Usually they say that you must have 3 times the rent in total household income before taxes or make an X amount of money a year. So if your rent is $1,800, you must show that you make at least $5,400 a month before taxes or at least $65,000 a year. You also need to prove your income. So that would either be your tax return from last year or a pay stub from your employer. If you're self-employed like us, then you can't show them a pay stub. And we also didn't have a tax return. What we had was bank statements and receipts from Google because Google pays us, but they wouldn't accept these. So if you just came to the country, you need to find a job ASAP. Credit score and credit history. Usually companies will run a background check on you, check your credit history, your renting history, and your credit score, even if you don't have any of these things. I only had a credit score at the time of searching for a place, and they still said that they needed to check all of these things. And they check them when you apply for a place, and the application isn't free. So now we have crept up to the fees that you might or might not pay because again, all of these fees vary. The application costs somewhere between $50 and $100 and maybe even more than $100. And some companies require every member of the family who will live in the apartment to apply. So if there's 3 adults, it's $150 just to apply and it's non-refundable and you might not get approved. We also wasted money on that. Now, what you want to keep in mind is that there might be a huge competition. When you look at the listing online, you can sometimes view the number of already submitted applications. So in order not to waste your money on an application, you might want to check this first because if there's already 20 applications, chances are you won't be approved, especially if you don't meet the criteria. Okay. So there's an application fee. Then, depending on the company you're renting from, you need to be ready for all sorts of fees. The move-in fee and admin fee can be anything, $100, $200, or $500. If you have pets, there's usually a pet fee that you pay once when you move in, and it also can be anything. Parking can be included in rent, or there might not be any parking at all, or you will need to pay for it. Again, it can be anything starting from $25 a month to $100 or $200 a month or more, depending on where your potential home is located. Also, you need to pay a deposit, which usually equals the amount of 1 month's rent. So, even if you have money in your bank account or literally come with cash in your hands, a lot of places will still make you apply and check your background, and if you can't prove your income, a lot of places won't rent to you. Even when we explained our situation saying that there's basically nothing to check, a lot of places still told us to apply. They might as well have told us just to give them $50 as a gift because they knew we wouldn't be approved. There was one guy at one place that was honest though and told us right away that we wouldn't be approved, which was something we were really grateful for. If you don't have any of those things, if you're just newly arrived and have nothing to show yet, there's a couple of options for you. Co-signer. You can find a co-signer. This person will be legally responsible to pay your rent if you don't or can't. However, not every place works with co-signers. Again, something to keep in mind. Guarantor. There's also companies that can be your guarantor. They will also be legally responsible to pay your rent if you don't or you can't. But a co-signer can be your friend or relative and it will be free, whereas if it's a company, you will need to pay for their service. Our friends, for example, found an insurance company that helped them find a place and is their co-signer basically, and they take some percentage from their 1 monthly rent. Or you can find someone through friends or acquaintances who will be willing to rent to you without needing all of these things, but it can take some time, sometimes a lot of time, just as it was in our case. So as you can see, there's a lot to keep in mind and you need to be ready to spend a small fortune to be able to rent in the US. As an example, our friends found 1-bed, 1-bath apartment in Chicago for $1,550 a month, not that close to downtown, but close to Lake Michigan. Some people say that you don't need a car if you live in Chicago because there's also a good transportation system, but our friends would beg to differ. They say that getting somewhere using buses and the L is just a nightmare because they're always late. So their monthly rent is $1,550. But they moved in on the 8th of March and paid $1,200 for the first month. No deposit though. In most cases, you will need to pay a deposit, which can be equal to 1 or 2 monthly rents. They have a dog, so they also paid a $300 one-time fee. They paid $75 each for the applications. There's 2 of them, so that came to $150. They also paid a move-in fee, which was $350 and an admin fee of $50. They were also given electronic keys and they paid $50 each for the key fee. They also paid a liabilities fee of $12.50. They also paid $1,185 to the insurance company that helped them find a place and rent it. So in total, they paid $3,347.50 right away. But you might have some other perks like a pool, gym, or a common area or offices. We don't have any of that. Electricity, parking, and the internet are not included in the rent, and water might or might not be included in the rent. So as you can see, what you see on the listing won't be what you'll end up paying. And remember, the cost of rent differs from state to state, from town to town, from district to district, and depends on safety, schools, community, etc. In our situation in the area we wanted to rent, there weren't that many options that fitted our budget. We did have a co-signer, but most of the places don't work with co-signers here. But luckily, we found a person through our friends who rented a place to us and didn't need to check anything. And I love our place. It's a nice neighborhood with great schools. We pay $1,400 for a 2-bed, 2-bath apartment, including 1 parking spot. We also paid a deposit, which was equal to 1 monthly rent. Electricity and the internet are not included, and we don't have a gym, office, or a common area here, but we didn't pay any other fees. So I think it was worth the wait. Another important thing I wanted to mention is scams. You won't believe how crafty people get and to what extremes they can go just to steal your money. Our friend told us that when she and her husband moved to California and rented a house there, they kept getting people come and knock on their door asking if the place was still available for rent or if they could check out the place because they wanted to rent it. As it turns out, someone took a picture of their house, put it up for rent, and was taking application fees. So people paid for nothing. When we were searching for a place, we noticed that some listings had more than 30 applications. And we thought that that was weird. The fact that you couldn't choose renters out of 30 applicants tells you something about the landlord, even if it's not a scam. Okay guys, that'll be it for this video. Again, if you have more information, please share with us in the comments. And if you like this format of video, give it a like so that we know. And I'll see you in the next vlog, video, whatever. We'll see. Bye.